Welcome to Wrestling with Success, the best and only podcast for the wrestlers of tomorrow. Please welcome your host, Nigel? Oh, right. Your host and future champion, Neil McMillan.
Yeah.
Alright, guys and gals, welcome to episode 15 of Wrestling with Success. And this episode is a little bit different. This episode is going in a different direction. So, recently, I just undertook the Tough Mudder event. Now, if you don't know what a Tough Mudder event is, this is basically 12 miles, 20 obstacles, and nothing but mud. It's definitely worth a Google. I recently undertook this. It was as a challenge to myself. I did the entire event on my own. You can normally do it with teams. Like I said, I did this challenge at this event for charity. So I took donations, and I've got to say, guys, it was the most satisfying thing I have ever done. It feels like such an achievement to be able to do this event. And I just thought it was very relevant. There's a lot of things I learned in that event I think coincides with a lot of wrestling, training, and a lot of things I saw similarities for. So one of the main things kicking off straight away that I thought interacted quite well with wrestling was the fact that training, fitness and preparation. Put it this way, guys, I found out that I made a decision that I was going to do this event probably back in February. So back in Feb, the same time coincides that I started with wrestling, really. And because I knew that, I gave myself 6 months. I gave myself probably a little bit over more than 6 months, up till September, to get myself physically ready for this event. I didn't want to just go into it. I'd seen some friends do it before, and they really struggled. They were smoking, they were drinking just before going and doing it, and they really struggled throughout the whole thing. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it on my own as well. I was going to have to be a little bit more fitter than with a team, because I had to rely on myself. And I've got to say, guys, the preparation, consistently doing a little bit to move the needle forward, doing that little bit more to get my fitness up to scratch, really helped in my preparation. So by the time I got to the event, my fitness was exactly where I needed it to be, because I was consistently trained every single month, every other day, to get myself to that point. And not only was it the physical preparation, it was the mental preparation as well. I prepared myself. To be fair, I prepared myself to go through hell. I thought it was going to be the most horrible thing I've ever done. And where I prepared myself mentally like that and prepared myself physically, it was, I hate to say, it was actually a little bit easier than what I thought, and I actually enjoyed it. I actually flourished because I was actually running around, and dare I say it, like an athlete running around, which in my head is mind-blowing, because 6 months prior to that, I wouldn't have called myself an athlete in any way. I could barely say it now without cringing. But definitely preparation, mental and physical, really helped. And I think that's very important as well in the ring, is that I don't want to rush it. I want to get to the point where I am practiced and prepared and getting my training up to scratch. I know I've set myself a target of getting into a ring within a year. Do I think I can achieve that? I think personally I can, because I like to be chucked in the deep end. Do I think I'm ready? I think it's easy to say that I'm ready, but I'm trying to take it slow, and if I'm not ready by a given time, then I'll delay things until I feel I am 100% ready for that. And I thought that was very important. It coincided very well with wrestling. The next thing is helping others. When I was doing the event, there's a lot of people around you. That need your help. It's not an event you can do just running by yourself. I know I do it by myself, but there are so many obstacles where you physically need someone to get over something. There's no way I could climb up a 20-foot high wall without being able to stand on someone's shoulders. There's an obstacle there called the pyramid scheme, where you literally have to lay down like diagonally, and people have to kind of stand on your shoulders, and someone's got to stand on their shoulders just so someone can go up. So you rely on other people, and I thought that was very important, because these are complete strangers that I was doing it with. These weren't team members. I mean, you can do it with a team, but these were people, complete strangers I had to trust. I needed to trust that they were physically going to be able to cope with me and my body weight, that they were going to ensure that they were going to keep me safe, and I was going to keep them safe. I wasn't going to risk their health, and they weren't going to risk mine. And I thought that coincides nicely as well with wrestling. There are going to be times when I'm going to be in there with a complete stranger. There are going to be times that I'm in there, even with someone I've trained with, that I need to ensure that they have complete faith in me, trust in me, and I can have trust and faith in them, that they're going to look out for me and I'm going to look out for them. Because at the end of the day, at the Tough Mudder, we had one obstacle, and we need to ensure that we both got through it completely fine, unscathed, and health and safety at all times. And I think that's very important, because there's going to be strangers that I meet in wrestling where we're going to have to look after each other, get a wrestling match down without risking each other's health. And I think that's very important. And as well, one other thing was motivation. Motivation is very important. I think when you're running a race, when I was running a race at Tough Mudder, it was so motivating. It was so encouraging. These complete strangers all around you. You're all going through the same journey. You're all doing all the same things. You had people running past me, high-fiving me and everything. I did undertake the race. I undertook the race dressed. I did it for the Little Princess Trust Foundation. And to help boost the donations, I did the whole event dressed as a princess. A very shitty princess. It was a terrible attempt of a princess, I'll be honest. I ended up looking like a fairy. I had some wings, just to kind of add to the thing. I had some wings, and I knew I looked like a fairy, because everyone kept telling me as I was running around, it's the fairy, it's the fairy, nice, dressed as a fairy, it's the tooth fairy. I got the tooth fairy at one point. And another thing, I got a lot of it, I got called a fairy godmother, because I was going out my way to help others quite a lot. That's one thing I did. I put a shift in, and I was helping 5 to 10 people get over a certain obstacle, so I can then turn around to give the guy behind me a nod and say, "You're up, big guy, because you've got to lift me over a wall now." And I thought that was very important. I don't know these people. There's no reason for me to help them, but why shouldn't I? That is one of the most satisfying things about the whole event, is that you're helping complete strangers achieve something that you're looking to achieve as well. And again, this is why I do these podcasts, this is why I do these videos. It's a satisfying feeling that I get from helping other people around me, and they can help me. That's the most satisfying thing, is we're all here to help each other. We're all here to move forward and get forward with the wrestling. And with that, in Tough Mudder, was all the motivation. Complete strangers slap my ass and give me high fives, and you give motivation to other people around you. You just get fired up, and so it's good, because you get all that motivation from other people, and I think that's very good, because in wrestling you get a lot of feedback from people. There's a lot of people you can kind of say, "Oh, hey, what do you think about this?" and they'll tell you straight away. But the other slice of it is, there are times where you're running that race, 12 miles, where you're running on your own, and then I think that coincides as well with wrestling, because there is a lot of times, although there's a lot of people around you and they're willing to give you advice, there's a lot of times when you're in your own head, where you are a little bit unsure of yourself, your wrestling capabilities, your desire to wrestling. I mean, I know firsthand that I have a family, I'm married, I have responsibilities, I have a full-time job, I have a part-time job as a DJ. 70% of my brain space is taken up by other things. So in terms of me being able to perform to the best that I can, I need to ensure that when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to Wednesday or Sunday or whatever session I do or a show that's coming up or these podcasts, that I need to get myself into my wrestling mode preparation. And that's something that I need to do. I can't rely on anybody else to do that. So I need to be self-motivated. And it's not just me. I mean, I think it's very important that you need to be able to give yourself that self-motivation. There aren't always going to be people around you who are going to give you that motivation or give you that feedback. You need to source that yourself. And I think that coincided with Tough Mudder. I was running, there was times where I was completely, entirely on my own. I could have easily stopped and started walking. I could have taken a shortcut. I could have done anything. I could have got a cab or anything. I couldn't have got a cab. That's a barefaced lie. But I could have taken a shortcut, or I could have done anything. I was entirely on my own. I could have crumbled. I could have given up. It would have been very easy to. But that doesn't serve anyone. You need to ensure that you're motivating yourself constantly, because there's not going to be people around you to always motivate you. So I think it's great, yeah, others motivate you, but you need to ensure that you're motivating yourself. One other thing, the next thing about it is attire. Getting the correct attire. Like, without doubt, without the correct attire, I couldn't have done it. And I say attire in terms of wrestling. When I started training for wrestling, first of all, I bought some Decathlon shitty elbow pads that helped me not get friction burns, to be fair. But now I've gone out my way and bought some Trace elbow pads, some Trace knee pads, and 100% I think you should go out there and you should put the money aside to get the correct equipment, the correct attire, because it helps you. It helps with your health and safety. It helps with your confidence, and it helps you feel a little bit more of the part. But I thought that coincided quite well with Tough Mudder. They had trail shoes. I've never heard of a trail shoe in all my life. I don't know if I've been shadowed from things. I don't know if I've been kept in the dark about it or anything. But I've never need to know what a trail shoe is. So when I was doing my preparation, as previously mentioned on Tough Mudder, looking up, doing some research, a lot of people suggested, fucking hell, it's muddy, so fucking muddy, it's called Tough Mudder, fuck me, it's muddy. And trust me guys, I've got mud in places that I didn't even know were places. So doing my preparation, found out how muddy it was. A lot of people suggested I should get some trail shoes. So I googled trail shoes. Oh right, they're just shoes with grips. So a week before I bought these, wore those in before the Tough Mudder event, and Jesus fucking Christ, I'm so glad I did, because the amount of people around me who just had basic trainers like I did before a week prior, that was slipping and sliding and rolling ankles. I saw one guy slip so far down, he nearly went straight into a tree, like head first into a tree. He missed it by a few centimetres, and wow, it got to a point where it helped with my running, it helped with my whole performance. And I think that's very important as well, is when it comes to like my wrestling boots, I could easily go out and get a pair of boots that would kind of do me a half job. I'm not investing myself entirely, but realistically, I should be looking at getting the best quality boot, not only for looking good and being the part, but for majority for that that health and safety. And it helps in terms of performance. Without my trail shoes, without my compression tops to help with coldness, because fuck me, it was cold. Without that, my compression shorts, I wouldn't have been able to perform as well as I wanted to. And I think that's important in terms of ring. I want to be able to take a bump and it not hurt as much, and my health and safety isn't put at risk. That's why good elbow pads, good knee pads. I want to be able to ensure that I can perform more shows, more days, more keep my wrestling lives, keep my bump card, at a very good level. That's why ensuring that my health and safety and my performances can be kept at a high level due to my attire. It sounds very stupid. I know I'm talking about attire far too much, but I thought it was very important in Tough Mudder. Without that attire, I would have flopped. I could have easily damaged myself. I could have easily hurt myself. So it's definitely worth investing in the attire, and I think that can also be transcended in terms of wrestling. Get yourself attire that is going to keep you safe and is going to help you perform to your peak performance. And one other thing, guys, you've got to look after yourself as well. You've got to look after yourself in terms you need to be a little bit more savvy about yourself. There is a lot of obstacles on the Tough Mudder event where I could have easily tried to be a hero, tried to overperform, try to be fancy. Just keep yourself safe. There could have been so many times where I could have injured myself. You need to be safe for other people as well. There could have been things that I could have done that could have risked other people's health, and I think it's very important. Some people may want to be a risk taker in wrestling to get that high spot, to get that pop, and I think it's very important that don't put somebody's health and safety at risk to be able to perform that. And I feel that transcended over nicely as well. And one of the main things, guys, the last thing is stand out. I went dressed as a princess. Alright, I'm not trying to blow up my own trumpet. I went dressed as a princess. I did that for donations. That helped me achieve more donations. I saw guys there, okay, all sorts of attire. Someone dressed as Baywatch Babe, red skin, and this was a guy, swimsuit. He was a hero. He motivated others around him. In which time he got a lot of attention, which motivated himself. Now, I know he didn't necessarily have the correct attire for it, but there was guys there. There was 3 guys there dressed as grannies, like long granny dresses, and for some reason, I still don't get it now, they had a wooden frame around their necks, a proper wooden portrait frame running around their necks. I mean, there was barbed wire, there was water tanks, there was all sorts of shit. No idea how they completed it with these frames, but fair play, they'd done it. There was 2 guys there that came all the way from America, Texas, the night before, still jet lagged. They'd been awake, they'd flown, and they got 3 hours sleep. Next minute doing Tough Mudder. They're running around in Daisy Dukes with checkered shirts tied up at the belly button. Incredible. Stand out, do something different, get yourself donations. And the reason why I think that's important is if you want to be able to sell tickets, if you want to be able to stand out, if you want to be able to get that attention, to get people talking, that was one thing I thought was very important. It was very easy to go there in your running shorts and your top, which is great. You're achieving, you're doing something good. But in terms of getting donations, getting people talking, definitely try something different, stand out from everyone else. I thought that I took that away from the Tough Mudder event as well. But I mean, I just want to say this as well. Anybody who's ever thought about doing Tough Mudder, 100%, one of the most achieving things that I ever done was do the Tough Mudder event. So if you're ever thinking about doing it, it's definitely worth a Google. It's a very satisfying feeling doing something for charity, because not only you're doing it, it was an achievement for myself, but it was also an achievement for a charity, for other people, and you're inspiring other people around me, which at the end of the day is the goal that I have entirely. So 100% get yourself onto Google, look up Tough Mudder, and just go out there and fucking do it. Get yourself motivated, give people motivation, go out there, earn some money, do it for charity. Just to summarise this whole podcast. Do shit for other people, make yourself feel better. That's pretty much all I do. And I think it's very important that other people do that as well. So, apart from that, guys, cue the shit jingle. It's fan time. And I've got to say, Roman Reigns versus John Cena, the whole promos for the past couple of weeks is gold. I mean, I put a post up. It is literally, there's something so satisfying about seeing Roman Reigns just get humiliated and choke every single week. I mean, it's so bad. It's not good for business. I don't see how it's good. I mean, it's good TV at the time, but Roman Reigns just looks so fucking stupid. I mean, but there's something about it. I don't know. I like it. It's good. It gets me. I just like every bit of it. But I don't think long term it's going to have a good effect on business. I mean, you're probably going to listen to this. This is Monday after No Mercy. Yeah, he'll be fine. I think Roman Reigns would have won the match, and yeah, I mean, another thing that people are talking about, and what I like to see on a week-on-week basis, is Braun Strowman just going out and destroying things. That even the entrance song. I mean, that is. If I was in the ring and I heard that entrance music, a little part of me would die and shit myself knowing he's coming down. But I'm digging it. I think he's the only man available at the moment to be able to be believable in the fact that he destroys Brock Lesnar. But whether I see him as champ, I'm not sure. We'll fight. We'll know by now because it's No Mercy. It was yesterday. So I know it's a bit of a weird episode. The reason being is I'm on holiday as we speak. As you're listening to this, I am currently on holiday on a beach sipping a cocktail. I mean, that's utter bullshit. I am probably somewhere in a foreign country running around trying to sort out my kids, trying to keep them under grips. So that's why for this very different podcast, I thought it was a very important one. There's a lot of things that I learned mentally and physically about myself on this Tough Mudder event that I wanted to share with other people. And I thought it was very important just to do something a little bit different, just to change it up, just to try to give people that motivational boost, try to give them the boost to go out there and do something for charity. That's if one person went ahead and booked the Tough Mudder, then I've achieved what I need to achieve in this episode. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. We'll be back to our normal format next week with a guest. And guys, if there's anybody who you would like to listen to, who you would like to hear the story from, any particular wrestler that you want to be on the show, or if you are a wrestler currently training and you want to get your story across, tell us what you've gone through, where you struggle, where you have tips for, then please get in contact. We would love to have you on the show. And also, guys, I ask at the end of every podcast, but I think it's very important. And it's not just for me. It's to get this message across, to get everybody, to help get everyone exposure on the show, get all these great stories, all this great advice we've had from all these people, to try to get these wrestlers who I've interviewed on here, to try to get them exposure, to try to build British wrestling that little bit more, even if it moves the needle, even if it gets one person to go out there and go to training. That's all we're looking to achieve with this podcast. It's all we're looking to achieve. And the one way that really helps with that, guys, is if you go out your way and you leave a bit of feedback on iTunes. It really helps boost things. It really helps get the listenership up. And I'd really appreciate it if you went out your way and just did that. Or even if you saw a friend, you're sitting next to a friend at school, or you're sitting next to a friend at work or something, you know, as a wrestling fan, give them a nod and say, look, if you fancy learning, if you fancy stepping inside of a ring, go and listen to this show. Just that alone, that's all I ask for. Any sort of support like that would be great. And yeah, apart from that, guys, thank you for listening to episode 15 of the Wrestling with Success podcast. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for listening to my journey. Guys and girls, I look forward to wrestling a match with you all soon. Or running a Tough Mudder event with you soon. Let's do it. Book me up. I'm up for it. Definitely up for it. Alright, so apart from that, guys, we'll be back to our normal format next week.
Yo. Thank
Thank you again for listening, and people, I need your help. I would love it if you could pop over to iTunes to leave this podcast a review. Your reviews are so important to me. I need to understand what you think of the show, and it helps just raise awareness for everyone else on this show. And not only that, guys, if you have a friend or a relative who you know is an avid wrestling fan, please point them in this podcast's direction.